Shalom, Israel. Brother Reggie Jr. here. So today, guys, I'm going to be reading Exodus chapter 24. Just picking up where I left off from last time, guys. And let's get right into it. Exodus 24 and verse 1. And it says, "And he said unto Moses, Come up unto the Lord. Come up where? To Mount Sinai. Thou and Aaron, Nadab and Abihu, and 70 of the elders of the Israels," talking about leadership, "and worship ye afar off." So what is this come up and worship ye afar off? Where is the Lord talking about? He's talking about Mount Sinai, because remember when the Lord had came down and talked to the children of Israel, they became extremely afraid, and remember they fled, and they stood afar off, way away from Mount Sinai. So guess what? Naturally, when Moses was speaking in the stead of God, because the children of Israel requested it, guess what? He had to go away from Mount Sinai to the children of Israel to speak to them the rest of the words which the Most High was going to speak to the children of Israel. It's just they were too afraid to hear anymore from the Most High, so they had Moses again speak in his stead. So when he say worship ye afar off, he's saying go back to Mount Sinai. That's what he's saying. You, Aaron, Nadab, Abihu, and the 70 elders of Israel. Verse 2, and it says, "And Moses alone shall come near the Lord," meaning once y'all get to this mountain, only Moses is going to come near me. Okay, he's going to be the only one that's going to be able to come up into the mountain, climb up and go into the mountain and come near the Most High. It says, "But the people shall not come nigh, neither shall the people go up with him." It's talking about Aaron, Nadab, Abihu, and the 70 elders of Israel. They're not going to come up into the mountain with Moses. However, we're going to find out later that there was someone else that came up into the mountain with Moses, and you should know, because it is Moses' protege that is going to succeed him after he dies. But we're going to figure out the name of who that is just a little bit later. Just stay with me. Verse 3. Now, it says, "And Moses came and told the people all the words of the Lord, and all the judgments. And all the people answered with one voice, and said, All the words which the Lord have said, we will do." Okay, and all of these judgments, everything like that, it's talking about from Exodus 20 all the way through Exodus 23, meaning the 10 commandments and all of them judgments. In other words, he told them the covenant, and they said, all the words which the Lord have said, we will do. Okay, and mind you, the Lord heard that. Let's keep reading verse 4. "And Moses wrote all the words of the Lord, and rose up early in the morning." What all of the words of the Lord from Exodus 20 through 23? Them are all the words which the Lord spoke to him. That's what he wrote down. Okay, now let's keep on reading. Make sure I don't get lost now. It says, "And Moses wrote all the words of the Lord, and rose up early in the morning, and builded an altar under the hill, and 12 pillars according to the 12 tribes of Israel." Verse 5. "And he sent young men of the children of Israel." Okay, and what did they do? "Which offered burnt offerings, and sacrificed peace offerings of oxen unto the Lord." Okay, so they sacrificed burnt offerings and peace offerings of oxen unto the Lord. But let's see what Moses is going to do with this blood in which they sacrifice unto the Lord. Verse 6. "And Moses took half of the blood," okay, from these oxen, "and put it in basins, and half of the blood he sprinkled on the altar." Now what is he doing? Verse 7. "And he," meaning Moses, "took the book of the covenant." What book of the covenant? That which he wrote down in verse 4. And what did he write down in verse 4? He wrote down that which was in verse 3. Now there it says all of the words, all of the judgments. In other words, he wrote down the covenant. He wrote down the contract. Exodus chapter 20 through 23. That's what he wrote down. Okay. Instead of saying words and judgments, here it says he took the book of the covenant. What book? Remember, I got to repeat it again. That which he wrote in verse 3, which was in verse 3. Okay. Verse 7, and he took the book of the covenant and he read in the audience of the people. And they said, all that the Lord have said. And what did he say? He said that from Exodus 20 through 23. All that he said we will do and be obedient. That's what it is. So Israel, they signed the contract. They said all the words which the Lord have said we will do and be obedient. Okay, so they signed this covenant. They signed this contract. Now let's see what's going to ratify this contract. Make it official. 8. And Moses took the blood. Okay, took the blood from what? Verse 5, them oxen. He took the blood and sprinkled it on the people. Remember, he sprinkled it on the altar. Now he's sprinkling it on the people and said, behold, the blood of the covenant which the Lord have made with you concerning all these words. Because in order for this contract or the covenant to go in effect, something had to die. Okay. And in this case, it was those oxen, and they, with their blood, they ratified this covenant. Now I wanted to get so much deeper in that, but I didn't want to go too far because I want to explain something. Probably by the time I get to Leviticus, I'm probably going to come back to this Exodus chapter 24, but just for the sake of time and everything, I want to get through this lesson. Okay. But it says, and Moses took the blood, verse 8, and sprinkled it on the people and said, behold, the blood of the covenant which the Lord have made with you concerning all these words. All right. 9. Then went up Moses and Aaron and Nadab and Abihu and 70 of the elders of Israel. And they went up where? They went up to Mount Sinai. That's where they went, because remember, they were where the children of Israel were originally. And that was when they fled from the Lord and they stood afar away from Mount Sinai. So naturally, they're leaving that and they're going back to Mount Sinai. But remember, only Moses is able to actually go up in the mountain and come near the Lord. The rest of them weren't allowed to. But then went up Moses and Aaron and Nadab and Abihu and 70 of the elders of Israel. And it says, and they saw the God of Israel. Okay, so they saw the God, and when they came to that mount, they seen the God of Israel. And who is this God of Israel? This God of Israel is Jesus. And it says, and there under his feet, as it were a paved work of a sapphire stone, and it was in it, and as it were the body of heaven, in its clearness. So in other words, they seen a throne, and underneath God's feet, and under that throne too, was a paved work like sapphire stone. In other words, that sea of glass that it talks about in the Bible. And it's the same thing pretty much that, Ezekiel saw. And believe it or not, what they were actually looking at was the ark. And we don't even realize that this whole ark, and we're going to get into that in Exodus 25, but this ark is, believe it or not, God's vehicle. Okay? And on top of that vehicle is God's throne, his chair, where he sits. But we're going to save all of that for Exodus chapter 25. But for the sake of this lesson, like I said, we're going to just keep it going. Verse 11, and it says, "And upon the nobles of the children of Israel he laid not his hand. And they saw, and also they saw God, and did eat and drink." Wow, that's amazing. So they tabernacled with the Most High. Verse 12, "And the Lord said unto Moses, Come up to me into the mount." In other words, come near me, Moses, "and be there. And I will give thee tables of stone, and a law, and commandments which I have written, that thou mayest" what? "Teach them." 13. "And Moses rose up, and his" what? "Minister Joshua. And Moses went up into the mountain, up into the mount of God." So it's very heavily implied here in 13 that Joshua went up into that mountain near the Most High with Moses. 14. "And he said unto the elders, Tarry ye here for us." So this is what Moses said before he actually went up into the mountain near the Most High. He said unto the elders, "Tarry ye here for us," meaning stay here for us until we come again unto you. And we're going to find out in the last verse how long Moses and supposedly Joshua were up in that mountain. It says, "And he said unto the elders, Tarry ye here for us until we come again." Notice Moses said we, but I thought only Moses went up. It says until we meaning who? Me and Joshua, "come again unto you. And behold, Aaron and Hur are with you. If any man have any matters to do, let him come unto them." So if they got anything they need settled, or they need anything, hey, they're to come to Aaron and Hur, because me and Joshua, we're going to be going up into this mount near the Most High. Verse 15, and it says, "And Moses went up into the mount, and a cloud covered the mount." Because remember, this cloud hides the Most High, because every time, that's why you always see in the cloud appeared. That's because it's hiding the Most High. And it says, let's see, 16, "And the glory of the Lord abode upon Mount Sinai, and the cloud covered it for" what? 6 days. "And the 7th day he called unto Moses out of the midst of a cloud." 17, "And the sight of the glory of the Lord was like devouring fire on the top of the mountain in the eyes of the children of Israel." And again, I can't really explain this right now, but basically the Lord's vehicle, as well as him, is down here on this mountain. That's why you're seeing all this smoke and all this fire. It's coming from the Lord's vehicle, and that lets you know that everything that man does, they copy the Most High. But again, that's for another time, another lesson. Verse 18, and it says, "And Moses went into the midst of the cloud, and got him up into the mount. And Moses was in the mount for 40 days and 40 nights." So Moses was gone for a very long time. So basically like a month and a half, Moses was gone. And of course, with Israel perceiving that he was gone for so long, some folly ensued, but we're going to get to that later. But that is it for this chapter, guys, and I will see you in the next one.